Hey everyone, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing another video like I promised. So, this one today is a political one. Um, Decided to do this because I think, while I'm not a supporter of this particular person, I think that there's some nuance that needs to be added because of some of the ridiculousness that's out there. And just as a note, I'm getting sick of politics. I'd almost rather just fucking burying my head in the sand at this point. I'm a longtime Bernie Sanders supporter, and that'll continue. However, there's a second choice out there, and there's a lot that's been said about her. For one thing, the establishment is way more forgiving of her ideas and so forth, and that's Elizabeth Warren. So I wanted to do a video about some of the unfair things said about her, as well as some of the fair assessments or criticisms. So that's what I'm doing. For one, I think let's start with the Pocahontas thing. So, as far as I know, as far as I've read, the Native American thing did not influence her college career. I could be wrong, and it could be correct. Could correct me if that it was the case, and could give me some evidence from the colleges or transcripts. I'd be willing to read that. Now, the thing about that is that, how do I put this? A lot of people, and especially women, this is really sexist, but just keep with me here. It, are like into this new age thing, and they're like reincarnation astrology. I have an interest in some of those things myself. Um, in the pickup movement, they call these things chick crack, and it's like this thing where there's all these things that you can do and blah blah blah. It's like, oh my God, you're a whatever, you're an Aries or whatever. So, how do I put this? I basically think like a lot of families too. A lot of women are into this thing a little bit more than men, and this is kind of a fucked up opinion. It seems like oh God, this is gonna fucking load me with a lot of criticism, but I think there's a certain emotional element to how, for example, like Elizabeth Warren like thought she was part Native American, that kind of fits into this like new age hippie chick kind of thing, right? So that's basically what I'm saying, and I'm willing to forgive it. I've known people that guy I know that his mother told him he was a king growing up and shit. It's like there's a lot of weird superstitious nonsense that people get into in general, and like with Elizabeth Warren, I think she was just told this thing and she kind of believed it and it was bullshit, all along. And it kind of made her proud of herself. It's, people have low self-esteem. So they get into these ideas. Like, for example, like my father did some research and we were going to be, according to his research, we were like related to Henry VIII. And I was really excited about it. But then, of course, he found out that it was bullshit. But nevertheless, people can do that kind of thing and then believe it and just believe this myth about their family or their life, if they want. So excuse the casual, whatever you want to call it, that I gave before, but I'm just trying to make this overarching point. So I think at this point it's kind of silly. People claim a lot of things. It's pretty harmless. That's the main thing. That's what I'm trying to get at. Now, another criticism that people make towards her is that uh, I guess like um, it's unfair to say like to assume that she's going to do something or say something in the general or in the primaries or change her mind because this conspiratorial thinking with her being like some type. Oh no, this is what it is. So the fact that she was a Republican for many years and she was part of the Federalist Society and all this shit. Well, I got to say that a lot of people can switch sides or switch their ideas. There's all these conservatives that used to be liberal, or they write all these books, and they're like, I saw the light, a liberal mugged by reality, blah, blah, blah. So that's just kind of bullshit and just kind of ridiculous that nobody can make any kind of political journey. I'm a progressive now, and I used to be more libertarian, even though I was more of just like an establishment liberal before that. Well, not establishment liberal. Then I turned into more of a progressive. Then I went to more libertarian. Now I'm back to progressive. If that makes any sense. But the point being is people can make political journeys, and they do all the time. And a lot of the neocons used to be Trotskyites, and they just applied this idea of worldwide revolution to worldwide capitalist whatever. So that's one thing that bothers me about the criticisms of Elizabeth Warren. Those are two things. So now for legitimate criticisms. Well, the money. Where does she get money from? Who funds her? I was hearing about Raytheon giving to her campaign. And, Bernie is not free of bad things that he's supported in Congress or whatever, but, he's, as far as these campaigns are, pretty much like the individual donors is what he's all about. And, Elizabeth Warren taking this corporate money is troubling and problematic. A second thing about Elizabeth Warren that I don't like is that she's friends with the reptile queen herself, Hillary Clinton. And I say that a little tongue in cheek, but the point being is that it's very troubling that she's so friendly with Clinton, especially that she was in that like PBS special about the economic downturn in 2008, about warning the administration. I don't know if it was warning the Bush administration or some. She was warning people about the economic downturn in 2008 or the recession and everything. And the fact of the matter is that Bill Clinton, is indirectly responsible for that, for overturning Glass-Steagall with Congress and all that. So it's like, why would you be friends with this person that's just has a vile record of being, especially in modern times? Because I know that Hillary once was a little bit less odious in some ways, like maybe 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, she was just as opportunistic and probably a narcissist back then too, but she had a little bit more good in her back then. But after like 2003, 2004, she just turned into what she is today, and that's just a monstrous hag of nonsense, And I don't, I just don't like, the friendship between these people. Of course, they're all, conspiratorial mindset would say they're all in on it anyways, doing all this shit is all a game. But that's bad news for me. Another thing is that she kind of betrayed Bernie during the 2016 primaries, and that was pretty bad too. She's definitely not as progressive as Bernie. Now, if you want to compare her to Biden, I mean, this lip service she gives to corruption is pretty good, and her record, going against some of the, big financial criminals in the past has been pretty good, and introducing a lot of things that would protect customers and doing a lot of stuff like that. So she does have actually a record that can be counted on to some extent, as far as versus like Biden or doing these half-ass measures and all these things. So she is far superior to most of the rest of the field other than Bernie. So I just want to leave this on a final note. The only way that I would vote for Elizabeth Warren in the general election is if on election day she's fully committed to things like Medicare for all, things like that the rest of the Western world take for granted. Single payer healthcare is all around. America for some reason is the exception because we'd rather be more closer to a banana republic third world country. If you go to the South or some cities in America, it's basically it's a hellscape. It's not, and I don't blame. A right winger might be a racist about that and say it's because of that, but I blame the American culture and society because of McCarthyism and corporate greed. That's why I think it's happened. This decaying America that we've lived with for 40, 50 years, or more, that has happened. So I will vote for her if she actually stands up on election day and says that she's for these things still and hasn't been corrupted by corporate money and, bribes, basically bribes. So that's all I got to say about Elizabeth Warren. I'm not Bernie or bust. I mean, I came up with this thing, Bernie or bust a nut at the polls, but it's a terrible joke. But anyways, like if he doesn't get elected, go ahead and jerk off at the polls. I'm really a nasty person. Anyways, that's all I got to say about Elizabeth Warren. I hope she doesn't get corrupted, or if she already isn't, or if she already is, I don't know. I think that she's probably corrupted like most of them, and probably not the right person to vote for. But like I said, if she commits to things that, I mean, she's going to disappoint, and Bernie would disappoint too. The thing about Bernie is that he's coming from this left position towards all this opposition, whereas like someone like Obama or maybe Elizabeth Warren's coming from this more centrist position. Oh fuck, I can't get it in the center. And and what the hell? There's some fuzz on my fucking shirt. Excuse me. So they're pushing against this right wing thing, and if people want to really go against these ideas, they have to come from that extreme position and then come to the center. Rather than coming to a center position, and this, a lot of political pontificators have come up with this idea. They're going against this right wing thing. And from the center, they're going to go more center right. If you go towards the middle, you're going to be coming from the left, going against the right. I don't know. It's something like that. Some fucking Overton window shit or whatever. So I do not support Elizabeth Warren, but I think, like I said, there's good things and bad things. Some of the dumb things about her are those things about, the Pocahontas thing is ridiculous. I obviously like her saying that she had Native American ancestry. I just count it as just kind of this new agey thing that a lot of people are into, and just like weird family shit, that she probably grew up with. So she had this thing. It's just a personality quirk. It's kind of annoying, but it's not really nefarious or evil per se. Now, and in conclusion, that is how I think about that. I don't think the criticisms of her being a Republican are valid. Like, I know people compare Bernie to her. Oh, Bernie was always for gay rights, Medicare for all, blah 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 blah. Yeah, that's true, but people can make mistakes or change their mind. That's just a story of life. So those are the criticisms that I think are unfair. But being sponsored by Raytheon, being friends with Hillary, ridiculous and disgusting. And that's not to say that I wouldn't vote for her on election day if she supports some good stuff and isn't, taken over by the deep state or military industrial complex, which actually she did vote for Trump's war bills too many times as well, in my opinion, compared to Bernie. And that's all I got to say.